Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Yeedi's Vac 2 Pro. As you can see, it is one of those vacuums that does have a self-emptying station. Now, this self-emptying station has a capacity of 2.5 liters, and according to Yeedi, means that if you've got a normal-sized household, you don't really have that many pets around, you'd only have to empty this bin about once a month, which is great. Now, the vacuum has a visual mapping system, so that's a camera on the top that's going to map out all the areas where it needs to go. And then it does have 3D obstacle avoidance with a front-facing camera and sensors. And I'll be putting that to the test in this video. The vacuuming performance from it is a maximum 3000 PA. It does have a 5200 milliamp hour battery, which will power it on the low power setting for about 3 hours maximum there. And then it has an oscillating mop system. Now, this is where it is really good. This thing is scrubbing the floor 480 times a minute, meaning the performance is much better than you can imagine than just simply wiping a floor. And again, I will be putting that to the test in this video here of the Yeedi Vac 2 Pro. This is what you'll find in the box with the Vac 2 Pro. We've got our power cable, so that's going to be region dependent, of course. That's the EU one. We have a quick start guide and some other paperwork, the vacuum dock, and this is the oscillating mop. On the dock, we've got the two charging contacts. There's infrared here for it to line itself up and then dock, and a little bit of cable management on the back of it, which is great. Now, because I have this self-empty station, I won't actually be using or need this dock that is included. It's just for buyers that happen to buy the vacuum separately without the self-empty station. Then the isolating mop module. So the water tank capacity of this is 180 milliliters only. It's not a lot. That's where you put the water in. So this will vibrate 480 times a minute to basically scrub the floor. And here the mops are removable. It's got Velcro on the back of it. So you take that off and then you can wash that and reuse it. Along the underside of the Vac 2 Pro, we do have the two suspended wheels, so they can tackle climbs of 1 centimeter. The main brush is suspended. This is always good to see. You want to have a suspended brush because it adjusts to the different levels of the carpet. Very easy to gain access to it. You simply lift that up and then you can clean out that main brush. Now, there are these two ports right here. That is for the self-emptying station to suck out the contents of that dustbin that's within, which I'll show you shortly. So we've got downward firing sensors around the outside to detect any ledges, so the top of a staircase, it won't end up falling down them, and a side brush. The front 360-degree wheel there is removable for cleaning, and the two charging contact points at the front. The main brush does have 2 bristle levels and rubber sweepers. This vacuum does use a visual navigation system, which is this camera here at the top combined with the 3D obstacle avoidance it has at the front, which I'll show you shortly. So power on button here with status LED. The dustbin, now this is a 420 milliliter capacity. It's easy to get out. You simply just lift it up like so. And here is the filter. So to empty it, you've just got this little latch on the side. Push that. It opens up nice and easy. And note that the filter here does have a 2-stage filtration, so a little fine mesh at the front here. You can remove those filters and they are washable. Just down here there is a tool to clean the main brush, and we have our power on, reset, and Wi-Fi status LEDs. So the mop is installed in the rear part here, so you simply need to remove this, get the mop with the water of course in it, and then you just clip in that oscillating mop module, and it just clips into place, and that is now applying pressure down onto the ground, so it will go along scrubbing. On the right side of the vacuum, you'll see that there's this little sensor here. So that's going to be pinging distances to the wall, to objects, so the little side sweeper brush can get as close as possible. And then up the front here, there is a camera and some other sensors. So what that does is then detect objects. So it does have 3D obstacle avoidance, detecting common objects like, imagine a shoe, some socks on the floor, cable, and then proceed to go around it and hopefully not get itself stuck at all. There is a rubber strip up the front here just to make sure that it's not going to be damaging any furniture if it does bump into it. And when it bumps into something, there is that little switch it does trigger. This presses in and it knows then it's hit something. The left side of the vacuum does have another sensor here, and this is the exhaust vent where all of the filtered air is going to be blown out. Then we have our self-empty station. So you do need to assemble it, but it's just 3 screws, very easy. Screwdriver included, a dust bag's included, power cable, and even quick start guide. And there is our dock. So very easy to assemble as mentioned. Now it does have a 2.5 litre capacity, which can last some people up to 30 days. It depends on your household, of course, especially if you've got pets. So it's 1,000 watts. It's up to around 80 decibels, the noise of it, however, when it does empty it. So be prepared for a bit of a shock when it does empty it out. It just sounds like a normal vacuum. So those bags, that when you remove them, they do seal themselves so that no dust's going to go anywhere and you don't have to worry about having mess. Then the application. So it's called Yeedi. You just get it off Google Play Store and for iOS as well. You need to add the vacuum to it and it will need to access your 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network in order to connect up here up to it. It's very straightforward. It gives you a guide to do it. It's really easy and there is a firmware update that I did have to install with this, which is just bug fixes and improvements to it. So you do get notifications that come through with it when you are cleaning, and if it was to get stuck or jammed, it would tell you, but that hasn't happened on me yet, which is good. So we've got very basic here settings that you got your area clean, so you can actually set the order you want to clean there with the map that it's already mapped out. And you can do a custom clean too as well. So that's a spot clean mode. You can adjust how many times you want it to clean, the cleaning power, the water level for the mopping. You've got a schedule down here, the robot voice. You're able to adjust the volume of it and then set different languages with it. Now with the maps, you can edit those maps too, which is really good. So you can label them. I set this one up as master bedroom, then the other rooms. For the areas downstairs where I was testing it out. You can set up virtual boundaries. So virtual boundaries would be for when you're mopping and also when you're vacuuming. So you can have it separate there and no-go zone. So it's pretty handy. Now it is a very straightforward, simple application. It's not complicated at all. You see the battery life, and if it's just been cleaning, it will let you know the previous cleaning stats. And you do have here, too, if you go into this, just a few little settings, it will tell you the accessory usage. Of course, those are consumables. Once the side brush eventually wears out, it will tell you that you should actually replace it. And I am on the latest firmware here. So it's a good application, very straightforward and easy to use. Now then, how does it work and clean? So it needs an initial first map of your floor. So every floor it needs to do this, and it will take a little longer than once it's already done it. So it's a bit slow in its progress. A couple of times it seemed to get a little confused, but it did sort itself out and eventually mapped out the house and the plan as to what other robot vacuums also get. It looked very similar there, so that was great. Once it's done that, it's a lot faster then, and then it does enable the obstacle avoidance with the front-facing camera and sensors. So I did put that to the test. I set a little bit of a trap, you could say, for it. I put some socks out, shoes, and a USB cable. Now, it would go around the shoe most of the time, and the socks didn't seem to like the USB cable, and it would just push into it, push it around, but it didn't end up sucking it up, which was good. Occasionally, it would nudge around the shoe a little bit and the sock, but it didn't end up sucking up the sock or being a problem. And it hasn't actually got itself stuck either, and all the time now I've been testing this out, which is a week or so going around as doing our standard cleaning. So that is a good thing. I did notice, however, its mapping and the efficiency and the time it takes to clean isn't as fast as other products, robot vacuums with LiDAR mapping systems. That still does seem to be quicker. However, I am very pleased with the cleaning results. On hard floors, excellent. Carpets, not a problem. Managed to get up the lips of carpets that I have here without getting stuck. The floating brush that it has with adjustable levels did do a good job on the mat, and I put it to the test too with a setup, of course, that I laid down a bit of hair, dirt, dust, and cereal, and in just one pass, it went over all of it, and all it did was leave just a speck behind. So to me, it cleaned about 95% and just leaving 5%, which wasn't bad at all. If it did a second pass, it would have got everything there. So I do find that the performance for cleaning, excellent. But what about that oscillating mopping system it has? So as I mentioned at the start and showed you the mop, it scrubs the floor and it goes around applying pressure, and it's scrubbing it 480 times a minute. So much better than other systems that simply drag around microfiber cloths. And it did a good job of the floors. but I wanted to really test it out, of course. So I did a spot clean. I laid, again, a bit of a setup here, a scenario where there was some coffee dirt that I let dry there. Quite a trap for it, really. I didn't expect it to clean it as well as it did, nor did I expect it to take as long as it did. So you can see here, it took a long time to sort itself out before then it went over it and it got pretty much absolutely everything. If you do see two little, what looks like dark specks there, it's actually two little dents in the tile. So it cleaned it off really well. When you take a look at the mop, the results do speak for itself. So it mops really well, above average, definitely well above all those other normal mopping systems. The dustbin contents too as well. Again, the results did speak for itself. It picks up a lot of muck. And then of course we do have the self-emptying station. So this will be able to store, depending on your household, the average household, they say about up to a month's worth of waste. It's really good. However, it's loud when it comes on. So if you're not prepared for it, or you didn't realize it was going to go and empty itself, this is what it sounds like. You hear it is quite loud because it's a 1,000-watt motor and it's just under 80 decibels. So it sounds like just starting up a normal vacuum. Here's what it sounds like. So be prepared for that, but the convenience of it is very good. So all the dust and muck is stored in that 2.5 litre dust bag, and when you pull it out, it's quite good that when you lift it up, it actually seals it on the other side. So there's no way any dust and dirt and everything's going to get out of this, and this you just of course simply throw that into the bin and you are done. So that's quite handy, but it does mean that we do have a consumable, of course, and they do include yeedi and extra, so you get 2 bags in total. So there we go, that's my video there of the yeedi Vac 2 Pro. It does clean really well, mops really well. It's just that visual mapping is going to be quite a bit slower than the LiDAR vacuums that I have tested out.